Hey guys, Sisson here. Recently, Ubisoft out of nowhere just pulled the plug on the crew, meaning that as of December 14th, the game is unable to be bought online now, and the game will no longer be able to be played starting from March 31st of this year. This came all of a sudden without a warning, meaning that people could not buy the game even if they wanted to. Now, this isn't the first time Ubisoft has done a dumb move like this, as one of their previous games, Driver San Francisco, has also had a similar fate, being delisted on all platforms and unable to buy the game without having a key or a physical disc. But it's a little different for the crew. By the way, if you're new to this channel, please consider liking and subscribing, as I put a lot of work into this video and it would be monumental to me. Also, be sure to comment and share this video around. To start off, why do I care about this game so much? The Crew has to be one of my all-time favorites ever since Ubisoft dropped a trailer for this game. From the animation of the Camaro being assembled to all the other vehicles forming a team, the revealed trailer was honestly a captivating package and wrapped up with a song that fits the aesthetic. But along with cool trailers, the game was also fun to play, even with it being buggy and having server issues. It featured a scaled down version of America, which, despite looking janky, had all the important landmarks that made it feel like America. Going from one state to the other took quite some time and gave you the sense that you were on a road trip. Along with a massive map, the game also had an interesting story, even though it wasn't groundbreaking. It wasn't as good as the previous game, Driver San Francisco, but it still helped push the player to progress through the game. The cars had an awkward physics model and weird controls, but were still very detailed, allowing the player to build up their vehicle and customize every little detail, including the interior. It took a while to get used to it, but eventually you'd get used to how the vehicle's handled. The physics was later overhauled, which threw off everything, but still produced some very funny in-game cutscenes. Later updates also added bikes, monster trucks, and even police vehicles, but still felt like they were part of the game. The game also had weekly summits where players could participate in races across the country and earn prizes. I could go on, but this game was quite intricate and had hours of gameplay. But to be honest, this shouldn't be much of a surprise. The game was developed by Ivory Tower, who at the time were former members of Eden Games, who developed the first two Test Drive Unlimited games. Along with them, though, they were supported by Reflections, who had just finished making Drivers San Francisco. All of this talent led to the start of their passion project, which was hidden from Ubisoft at the time. And you can definitely feel this while playing the game and feel how much time the game devs put into it. From the animations of the vehicles being disassembled and reassembled, to all the barn finds, crew perks, drag racing, and even drifting, this game had everything a racing enthusiast could ever ask for. But not everybody was a racing game enthusiast, and mainly journalists who bashed this game quite a bit. This game caused quite a split between the gaming journalists and the community. The more hardcore side of the racing community loved all the details and activities that were found, but the more casual side felt that all of this was overwhelming. This was honestly evident when you look at its sequel, which had simplified a lot of the components of the game to avoid complicating the player. And along with simplifying the game, it also had a different tone, opting for more of a social influencer rise to fame rather than a revenge plot of a street racing group. While I don't hate The Crew 2 and that it's a good game, I still prefer the original Crew over The Crew 2, and so does its small, dedicated fan base. However, Ubisoft seems to give little care to its fan base. Why?
Parce qu'Ubisoft c'est de la merde.
The real reason they pulled the plug now is because the game is getting more expensive to run due to the server costs and licensing, and the game isn't getting its needed revenue. Now, what makes this situation even worse is the fact that this game requires an online connection to play. And when Ubisoft shuts down the servers on March, you will no longer be able to even play through the single player campaign, even if you have a physical copy of the game. And this is honestly a problem for games in the future as more and more games become digital only. But that's a topic for another video. But there is hope for this game. Now let's look at a similar example, Need for Speed Rivals. While this game launched, it was also an online-only single-player game that required an internet connection to even get boot into the game, and was also similarly buggy and had many netcode errors. The game being always online made a lot of people mad at Ghost Games, who were developers for Rivals, and Ghost Games knew that this game would eventually die and leave people who actually owned the game with just a paperweight. So as a result, Ghost decided to add an offline mode to the game where players could play with only AI and didn't need an internet connection to access the game. The crazy part is that this Need for Speed Rivals is 10 years old now, but we still don't have to worry about not being able to play it, as even if the online servers get shut down, people can still revisit the game through the offline campaign. And to think EA does a better job at preserving games than Ubisoft is crazy. But then again, Ubisoft isn't known for taking care of their older games. Now, I would also like to mention that there were plans to have an offline campaign for The Crew, and this is hidden behind the title screen, but people have found ways to uncover it. However, the game doesn't seem to allow for offline gameplay beyond the initial tutorial, and I doubt Ubisoft will try to give a simple offline patch for this game. As a result, it has to be done by the community, which is very difficult right now due to the DRM or digital rights management that Ubisoft has. And along with that, the game's files are quite hard to access for anybody who isn't a developer, as they're packaged in weird ways that make them hard to change code. This online mandatory connection was likely implemented as a way to prevent piracy, but also makes it harder to preserve this game for the future. A YouTuber by the name of Whammy4 actually went into this topic, saying that it's actually quite easy for Ubisoft to be able to allow offline play, and the only thing stopping them is greed. Greed that people won't play the Crew Motorfest or the Crew 2 if they allow an option to play the Crew 1 offline. I'll link the video along with his channel down in the comments if you guys want to check it out. Ubisoft, if you're watching this, please listen to your fans. Your developers have gone through the effort of creating these wonderful games, and we want to continue to play these games, and letting us play these old games will incentivize us to support your developers to create new games. But doing stuff like this is just stirs up anger and hate, and honestly it's quite baffling. Yeah. Anyway guys, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you guys for watching. It means a lot, and hopefully Ubisoft will hear this, although I don't think a large corporation will listen to the small guy. But maybe I might make an impact. Who knows? But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later. Have a good day.